They said we'd be vacationing in space by now, but guess what? It's 2025, and you still can't book a flight to the moon. So what happened? And more importantly, will space tourism finally take off this year, or is it all just hype? Let's be real, we've been dreaming about space vacations for decades. Sci-fi movies promised us lunar hotels, luxury orbit cruises, and Martian resorts. Big names like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos made us believe it was right around the corner. But here we are, and space still feels pretty far away. This video breaks down what's really happening with space tourism in 2025. We're going to dig into the history, the money, the risks, and the wild promises that still haven't come true. Here's the big question, why isn't space tourism mainstream yet? We've had billionaires riding rockets for years now, so what's stopping regular people from joining in? It turns out there are a lot of problems. Technical ones, financial ones, legal ones, even political ones. And if those don't get solved fast, then this whole space tourism dream might never lift off. Let's rewind first and understand how this all started. Most people think space tourism is a recent idea, but it actually goes way back, like way back, to the 1960s. In 1967, the Soviet Space Agency considered sending the first non-professional into orbit, a journalist. But the mission was scrapped after the tragic death of cosmonaut Vladimir Komarov in Soyuz 1. The message was clear: spaceflight was dangerous, too dangerous for tourists. In the US, NASA wanted to open up space to civilians too. They created the Spaceflight Participants Program. That's how Krista McAuliffe, a schoolteacher, was selected for the Challenger mission in 1986. But disaster struck. The Challenger exploded shortly after takeoff, killing all 7 crew members. Public trust was shattered. NASA shelved the idea of civilian spaceflight for decades. Space tourism seemed dead before it even began. Then came 2001. Dennis Tito wasn't an astronaut. He was a millionaire investment manager. He wanted to go to space, and he was ready to pay. NASA said no, but Russia? They said sure. For $20 million, Tito got an 8-day trip to the International Space Station on a Russian Soyuz spacecraft. He trained for months, learned Russian, and blasted off in April 2001. It was the first time a tourist ever reached space. Between 2001 and 2009, 6 other wealthy individuals followed Tito's path. All flew through Russia's Roscosmos space program, all paid tens of millions of dollars. But then it stopped. Why did it stop? Simple Soyuz seats were needed for professional astronauts. There was no room or appetite for tourists. NASA had retired the space shuttle in 2011. That meant Soyuz was the only way to reach the ISS for almost a decade. So space tourism went quiet again, but behind the scenes, a new space race was brewing. SpaceX, Blue Origin, Virgin Galactic, these names changed everything. SpaceX, founded by Elon Musk in 2002, SpaceX had one goal: colonize Mars. But on the way, they built powerful rockets like Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. They lowered launch costs, they landed boosters, and they started sending astronauts to the ISS in 2020 with Crew Dragon. Tourism wasn't their main focus, but it was part of the plan. Jeff Bezos founded Blue Origin in 2000. Their motto? Gradatim ferociter, step by step, ferociously. They weren't chasing Mars, they were focused on building space infrastructure, factories, habitats, and yes, tourism. Their rocket, New Shepard, was built specifically for suborbital space flights. In 2021, Blue Origin made headlines when Bezos himself went to space. 11 minutes, edge of space, then back. It was short, but it was real. Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic took a different route. They weren't building vertical rockets, they created a space plane. Their idea launched from a carrier aircraft, ignite a rocket engine at high altitude, glide back down. More like a ride, less like a rocket. Branson flew in 2021 too, just days before Bezos. Space tourism was officially back on the map, but it still wasn't ready for the rest of us. So why can't you just buy a space ticket today? Here's what's holding everything back. 1. Cost. Even the cheap options aren't cheap. Blue Origin tickets reportedly cost around $250,000 to $500,000. Virgin Galactic sells seats for $450,000. SpaceX? Try $55 million if you want to visit the ISS. The average person can't afford that. And until prices drop dramatically, it's not a real industry. It's a rich person's playground. 2. Risk. Rockets are still dangerous. Virgin Galactic had a fatal crash in 2014. Even SpaceX has had rockets explode mid-air. If there's another high-profile disaster, public interest could tank overnight. 3. Regulations. Who's in charge of space tourism? The FAA, NASA, the UN. Right now it's a legal gray zone. There's no solid international framework for private space travel. That makes insurance, safety standards, and operations very complicated. 4. Infrastructure. There's no space hotel, no orbital stations for tourists, no moon bases. Once you're up there, where do you go? Now here's the exciting part. 2025 is different. For the first time, space tourism is actually making some moves. Let's break down what's happening this year. First, Virgin Galactic monthly flights begin. In mid-2024, Virgin Galactic finally began regular space flights. Not test flights, actual paying customers. By 2025, they plan to scale to 1 flight every month, maybe more. Their spacecraft, VSS Unity, can carry 6 passengers. Flight time, about 90 minutes including 3 to 4 minutes of weightlessness. It's suborbital, but it's real. Second, Blue Origin scaling up. Blue Origin resumed flights in 2023 after a technical pause. Now, in 2025, they're planning back-to-back launches for tourists. They're also building Orbital Reef, a private space station in partnership with Sierra Space and Boeing. Construction may begin this year. The dream, a luxury orbital hotel. Third, SpaceX going big. SpaceX's Starship, the massive new rocket, is expected to reach full test orbit and possibly its first crewed orbital mission in late 2025. They've already announced Dear Moon Project, a private mission around the moon, funded by Japanese billionaire Yusaku Maezawa. Polaris program, another civilian space mission backed by Jared Isaacman. It's not affordable yet, but it's setting the stage. Axiom Space, building the first space hotel. Axiom Space is creating Axiom Station, a commercial module that'll attach to the ISS, and later separate to become a free-floating station. They're planning space hotel rooms, research labs, and Earth observation suites. Launches begin as early as 2025. So, who's buying tickets? Not astronauts, not just billionaires anymore. In 2024, Virgin Galactic flew teachers, scientists, engineers, influencers. Blue Origin flew an 18-year-old student, an 82-year-old pilot, an artist. A new trend is emerging: space for storytelling. Brands are sponsoring space travelers to create viral content from orbit. In 2025, we're likely to see TikTokers posting weightless dances, YouTubers vlogging rocket rides, possibly even a reality show filmed in space. This changes everything. Let's talk big picture. If space tourism does take off in 2025, here's what we might see by the 2030s. Space hotels in low Earth orbit. Lunar tourism. Yes, moon landings for civilians. Stratospheric balloons giving near-space views for $50,000 or less. Spaceports around the world. Florida, UAE, Japan, maybe even Kenya, and eventually, Mars. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Right now, in 2025, we're still in the toddler phase. So, will space tourism actually take off in 2025? Here's the honest answer: yes, but only for the few. 2025 is not the year where millions of people visit space, but it is the year when things become consistent. Regular flights, predictable launches, real customers, not just tests, not just dreams. That's a huge deal, because every successful launch this year lays the foundation for cheaper, safer, and more accessible space travel in the next decade. We're not there yet, but we're finally on the launch pad. So here's what we've learned. Space tourism has been almost ready for over 50 years. Billionaires helped bring it back, but real progress is just starting now. In 2025, flights are finally becoming regular but still expensive and exclusive. The next few years will decide if this becomes a luxury niche or a global industry. The truth? Space is hard, but for the first time in decades, it's also starting to feel real. If you enjoy our journey, please like and subscribe to our channel, and if you like our content and want to support me, you are welcome to buy me a coffee. The link is in the description box below.